postings of videos more rapid fire during the 12 days before and the 12 days after Christmas. So here is one about today being Kurdistan Flag Day, which commemorates the unveiling of the flag of a separatist republic in Iranian Kurdistan in 1946. After that republic was crushed, the flag was delivered by President Qasim Muhammad to Mustafa Barzani, leader of the Kurdistan Democratic Party, an Iraqi Kurd who had joined them after fleeing a failed revolt of his own 3 years earlier. The Kurds are a people that speaks an Indo-Iranian language and live mostly, aside their diaspora, in the Kurdistan regions of Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Syria. It has frequently been said that they are the descendants of the Med people, but this is very debatable, aside from the slight correspondence of territory of the northeastern part of Iraqi Kurdistan and the Iranian part of Kurdistan. For certain, we only know of the Kurds in the Middle Ages, and by far the most famous of them was Saladin, who was an Arabized Islamic leader that had not had ever a Kurdish state until 20th century independentist attempts. The Barzani family in the 1940s created one of the main political currents of the Kurds, the centrist, big tent populist, nationalist Kurdistan Democratic Party, out of which came in the 70s a socialist split, the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan, and both of these created wings in the other Kurdistans in the other 3 countries. It was much later that the Workers' Party of Kurdistan, or PKK, represented also the Kurdistans outside of its original Turkey. With the fall of the Soviet Union and the turning away from Maoism of the People's Republic of China, they started reconsidering their Maoist Marxist-Leninism and reading Murray Bookchin's libertarian municipalist ideas, decided to follow the idea of communalism instead of communism, choosing a more libertarian but still progressive path. This change of the PKK to a more moderate wing was quite a game changer, becoming a big inspiration for Kurds outside of Turkey, and also making them a more reasonable dialogue partner for other countries, and making them better at organization, being that during the Syrian civil war, they much took over control of not only the Kurds but other minority areas in northeastern Syria. Basically, after the early stages of the Syrian civil war, in which Russia and Iran supported the Syrian government and the West and their Arab and Islamic allies supporting the opposition, there was a split in the opposition, with not only some becoming the Islamic State of Syria and the Levant, and others becoming the still mostly Islamist but not Islamic State opposition, and a more secular and non-Arab-led sector of the opposition joining under the Syrian wing of the PKK. And so after this, and they starting to rule in practice the areas of the country they controlled, they reached an understanding with the Syrian government, letting them have some amount of self-rule in practice, and creating a sort of bipartisan system with the Ba'ath, Arab Nationalist Party, controlling the government-dominated areas, and the Kurds leading other democratic Arab and non-Arab movements in especially the northeast, and both fighting the Islamic State together. And this was the moment that Turkey, not wanting Kurds led by the Kurd separatists to have an actual sort of independent entity on their border, started supporting the Islamist-led Syrian opposition when most other Western and Islamic countries started removing their support from them. In that moment, Kurds, the Syrian government, the Russians, the Americans, the Iranians were basically all on the same side, supporting the gentleman's agreement between Syrian Kurd-led opposition and the government, and only some countries, like Turkey, supporting the rebels. Now, recently, we had Turkey support rebels taking power, and the big concern is, will they be able to give the same amount of relative freedom, of relatively less abuse, of possibility of agreement with those who came from the Assad regime, of freedom for women, inspired in the genealogy from the Kurdish word for woman, so womanism, ideology created by PKK leader Öcalan, and the same amount of alliance of Arabs, Kurds, Syriacs, Syrians, etc.? I want to take advantage of this day to give my support to the democratic and government experiment that the Kurds have been having, and hoping that the Arab Islamist-led government will understand that, as John F. Kennedy said, those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. If you wish not have a separatist revolt or civil war from the Kurds and other non-Arabs, you have to give them some amount of freedom.